Kailash was a hunter. He lived in a small house near the Green Hills. Every morning he took his long gun. He walked deep into the jungle. The jungle was his hunting ground. He was known for his sharp eyes and steady hands. He could spot a barking deer behind a thick bush. He could hear the soft steps of a jungle fowl on dry leaves. For Kailash, hunting was not just a sport, it was the only life he had ever known. He felt a sense of pride when he returned home with his prize, a wild creature that had roamed freely only hours before. The villagers sometimes admired his skill, but the oldest ones often looked at him with a quiet sadness. He did not hunt for need. He had a small farm with corn and potatoes. His wife wove beautiful shawls, but the call of the hunt was strong in his heart. It was a habit passed down from his father, and his father's father. The thrill of the chase, the silence of the forest, and the final moment of victory were what he lived for. He loved the smell of the damp earth and the sound of the wind in the sal trees. He believed the animals of the forest were there for him to take. He never thought about their lives, their families, or their feelings. They were just shadows moving through the trees, waiting for his arrow or his bullet. One day, Kailash heard stories about a new jungle. It was a large forest, many miles away, on the other side of the river. People said it was full of animals. They spoke of spotted deer that grazed in open meadows. They talked about wild boars that dug for roots near the streams. Kailash's eyes sparkled with excitement. He imagined the grand hunts he would have there. He cleaned his gun carefully. He packed some bread and a flask of water. He told his wife he would be back by evening with a great story and a bigger prize. He dreamed of a place untouched, a hunter's paradise. The next morning, before the sun painted the sky, he set off. He crossed the rickety wooden bridge over the singing river. He felt a new energy as he stepped into the unfamiliar woods. The trees here were taller, their leaves forming a thick green roof above him. The air was different, filled with the scent of unknown flowers and damp moss. He held his gun tightly, his senses on high alert. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, made his heart beat faster. He was ready. He was Kailash, the hunter, and this new jungle was his to explore and conquer. He was sure this would be his most successful day ever. Kailash walked for hours. The sun climbed high in the sky. It became very hot. The jungle was deep and green, but it was also very quiet. He did not see any animals. He looked for footprints in the soft mud near a stream, but he found none. He listened for the call of a bird or the growl of a beast, but he heard only the buzz of insects and the whisper of the wind. The forest seemed to hold its breath, hiding all its creatures from his sight. He felt a growing sense of frustration. This was not the paradise he had imagined. It was just an empty, silent place. He pushed deeper into the trees. He climbed a small hill to get a better view of the land. From the top, he saw only an endless sea of green. There were no clearings where deer might graze. There were no muddy pools where boars might rest. The silence of the jungle began to feel heavy. It was not a peaceful silence. It was an empty one. Kailash started to feel tired. His legs ached from walking. His shoulders were sore from carrying the heavy gun. The thrill of the hunt was slowly turning into the ache of disappointment. He had never spent a day like this, a day with no chase, no excitement, and no sign of life. The afternoon sun began to dip towards the horizon. The shadows of the trees grew long and dark. Kailash knew it was time to go back. His bag was still empty. His hands had not pulled the trigger. He felt a strange mix of anger and defeat. He had wasted a whole day. He turned around and started the long walk back towards the village he had seen near the edge of the forest. The path was difficult and his steps were heavy. The sounds of the evening began to fill the air, but they were not the sounds of the wild animals he sought. They were the gentle sounds of a jungle at peace. As he walked, his mind was full of thoughts. Why was this jungle so different? Were the stories just stories? Or was he losing his skill? He had always been a successful hunter. He had always been able to find his prey. Today, the forest had defeated him. It had kept its secrets hidden from him. He felt small and insignificant in the vast, quiet wilderness. He was just a man with a gun, and the jungle did not care. The hunter, who had always felt like a king in the forest, now felt like an unwelcome visitor. He longed for the familiar path back home. As Kailash neared the edge of the jungle, he saw the small village. The houses were made of mud and wood. Smoke curled from the chimneys. Near the village stood a small, simple temple with a white dome. The sun was setting, and the sky was a beautiful mix of orange and purple. It was a peaceful scene. Just as he was about to walk past, he saw something that made him stop. There, standing perfectly still near the temple wall, was a deer. It was a beautiful creature, with soft brown fur and large dark eyes. It was not hiding. It was standing in the open, as if it was waiting for something or someone. Kailash's hunter instincts took over immediately. He forgot his tiredness. He forgot his disappointment. Here was his prize, right in front of him. It was an easy shot. The deer was not moving. He slowly and quietly raised his gun. He took a deep breath, just as his father had taught him. He aimed carefully, his finger moving towards the trigger. The world around him faded away. There was only him, his gun, and the silent deer. This would make the long, empty day worthwhile. He would not return home empty-handed after all. He steadied his arm, ready to make the final move. But then, something happened. The deer turned its head and looked straight at him. Its eyes were not filled with fear, as he expected. They were filled with a deep, profound sadness. It was a look he had never seen in an animal before. It was a look that seemed to hold a story of great loss and sorrow. Kailash's finger froze on the trigger. He could not pull it. He looked into those sad, liquid eyes and felt something shift inside him. The deer did not run. It just stood there, looking at him, its gaze holding him captive. It was as if the animal was asking him a question he did not understand. He lowered his gun slowly. He could not shoot this animal. He did not know why. He had killed hundreds of animals before without a second thought. But this deer was different. Its silent sorrow spoke to him louder than any sound. The hunter's heart, usually so hard and focused, felt a strange new feeling. It was a feeling of pity, of empathy. He stood there for a long time, just looking at the deer. The deer in turn did not move. It was a silent meeting between two beings, one with a weapon and one with a broken heart. The hunter felt confused and deeply moved. Just then, an old man from the village walked by. He saw Kailash with his gun and the still deer. The man smiled a gentle, knowing smile. He was a village elder, with kind eyes and a face lined with the wisdom of many years. "Do not be afraid, hunter," the old man said softly. "She will not run. She comes here every evening. She is waiting." Kailash looked at the old man, confused. "Waiting? What is she waiting for?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The hunter felt a strange curiosity, a need to understand the mystery of the sad-eyed deer. He looked from the old man back to the animal, which had now turned its gaze towards the temple. The old man pointed a wrinkled finger at the temple. "She is waiting for the sound of the evening drum," he explained. "The drum they play for the evening prayers." Kailash was still puzzled. Why would a deer wait for a temple drum? The elder continued, his voice full of compassion. "You see, the drum is made from the skin of her mate. A hunter killed him in this forest last year. Since that day, she comes here every evening. She stands here and listens to the sound of the drum. It is the only part of him that is left. It is her way of remembering him." The old man's words hit Kailash like a physical blow. Suddenly, everything made sense. The deer's stillness, its lack of fear, and the profound sadness in its eyes. Kailash looked at the deer, and his heart filled with a deep, aching sorrow. He imagined the deer's mate, running free in the forest, and then the sound of a gun, just like his own. He imagined the female deer, left alone, her heart broken. He realized that the drumbeat was not a sound of worship for her. It was the last echo of her lost love. He felt a wave of shame wash over him. He, the proud hunter, had never once thought about the pain and suffering he caused. At that moment, the temple drum began to beat. It was a slow, rhythmic sound that echoed through the quiet evening air. The deer closed its eyes, its body completely still, as if it was absorbing every single beat. Kailash watched, his own eyes filling with tears. He saw not just an animal, but a grieving soul. He saw the love and loyalty that he had never believed animals could possess. In that moment, he made a promise to himself, to the deer, and to the silent forest. He gently placed his gun on the ground. He vowed that he would never again raise a weapon to harm another living creature. His life as a hunter was over.